Hello and welcome to a very brief discussion of Chapter 25 of Crow Country by Kate Constable. This is a very short chapter, and again, there's not a lot that goes on here except for the main event of Sadie finding the lost things, the sacred items. And I think the brief nature of this chapter is an indication of the rising tension, so it's a really good structural way of representing how we've got a quickening pace here as we head towards the climax of the text. Let's have a look at some of the quotations that are important here. So this first one that I've highlighted, that reads, "She knew that she would never see him in the same way again. Something had shifted between them. Never again would her father be her rescuer, her protector, all-powerful and wise. He had lost his authority forever. Now Sadie would be the one to protect Clary." And this is great because even though it's a portion of the time before, it's Sadie slipping back into this one of her time slip episodes, it sort of shows how she's now lost her innocence and she sees the world, and particularly her father, differently because she has this clearer understanding of what's going on around her. So she's forced to grow up much too quickly. And in a way, that's what Sadie's life is like in the real world as well. She's experienced a lot of things that have forced her to grow up. Possibly being from a single parent family has exacerbated that somewhat too. This next quote here, it's really good descriptive language here. "Flames flared, the shadows danced along the walls. In the hiss and crackle of the fire, Sadie thought she heard the sounds of mourning. She thought she heard wails and sobbing, and outside, in the night, she heard an owl cry and the distant voice of a crow." This is brilliant because you've got both the visual element and the auditory imagery, and they build nicely on top of each other here. So it shows the flair that Kate Constable has for creating a really good mood and allows us to picture exactly what's happening here. But also too, don't forget we have references to the owl and the crow, and we should know from previous chapters in the text that the owl is a totem of death and the crow is not. So Walter has explained the significance of these totems in one of the previous chapters. We continue on. Some more use of descriptive writing here. "A kind of horror, a kind of fear ran through her like a shudder. It was the package that Jimmy had handed to her father before he died." So this is where Sadie is starting to unravel the mystery of finding the lost things, the sacred items that she needed to locate from the clever man. And again, we've got a simile used to describe Sadie's fear there. This part here, "She wound her hand around the smooth, slender trunk. It was a gum tree, sapling, young and pure and perfect." This is a great symbol, that it represents how things that are young and new are still innocent and naive to the ills of the world. They are not yet corrupted by others. They are not yet corrupted by human beings. So they're still pure and very innocent. But of course, that soon changes. Here, we've got her frantically trying to find the tin that was buried. Laboriously she scraped at the base of the trunk, carving an S, a snake-shaped scar into the bark. S for Sadie, S for secret, S for stones, sacred stone, S for sorry. She let the stone fall and staggered to her feet. "I'm delirious," she thought, "I'm getting a fever." So this marking of this particular place obviously has symbolic significance attached to it as well. And finally, we end. "She felt herself slipping out of the other Sadie's mind, and the other Sadie seeping back into her own body, like dye curling through water. She closed her eyes, and the dark rolled over her like a tide." I think one of the interesting things about this description is that melding of the two worlds together, because the water and the dye, eventually they dilute into one another and become one, which is kind of how Sadie's feeling. She's becoming one with this spiritual other that she is sensing. Hope some of those quotations help you understand the chapter just that little bit better. This has been an ETV production brought to you by Printable Catholic College.